All right, let's spend some time now talking about a specific class of dietary supplements known as stimulants. So some of the effects, as you see here, associated with stimulant use, including reduced fatigue, increased mental alertness, and overall this may enhance one's workouts. So caffeine is a very common stimulant. So we're all familiar with caffeine. Maybe it's something in coffee that we drink or tea, but there's actually over-the-counter caffeine tablets that can be used. And you see here on the box showing it's utilized for mental alertness, and as it states here, use of these caffeine tablets in the recommended dosage is not only safe but also effective for improving mental alertness. Now, in terms of some of the evidence looking at the efficacy of caffeine use in terms of improving athletic performance, many studies have shown that simply drinking several cups of coffee increases one's exercise performance. And in many of these studies, they looked at measures such as time to exhaustion and showed that time to exhaustion actually increased. The mechanism thought to explain the efficacy of caffeine is enhanced lipolysis. What that simply means is basically enhanced breakdown of fats, which can be then utilized as a fuel source. There have been several other studies looking at the effect of caffeine on sprint or power performance, but there's some conflicting data there, conflicting findings, with some studies showing a benefit or other studies showing no effect. What we know, though, is that there seems to be a limit in terms of the adverse effects of caffeine. Most studies have shown that caffeine intake of excess of 9 milligrams per kilogram of body weight results in a number of adverse effects. These adverse effects may include increased anxiety, increased gastrointestinal disturbances, becoming restless, insomnia, for example. Some individuals may experience heart arrhythmias, which can be very scary. And also some evidence that athletes exercising in the heat and taking caffeine may be at an increased risk of suffering a heat-related illness, such as heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Now, a very common stimulant today are energy drinks. So many athletes or individuals may utilize these pre-workout with a thought that they're going to enhance their workout. Now, in terms of the efficacy of utilizing pre-workout energy drinks, we really still don't know a whole lot. This is a relatively new dietary supplement. Just really has been around for the past 10 or 15 years now. Very popular still, particularly with adolescents and young adults. But some studies shown that pre-workout energy drinks are effective for increasing total volume lifted during resistance training, as well as the performance of other types of anaerobic exercise. So for example, performing a high-intensity 30-second all-out Wingate test, or perhaps even improving one's speed or agility. Whereas other studies have shown that various measures of anaerobic exercise are not responsive to energy drink consumption. And only a handful of studies that I'm familiar with have looked at pre-workout energy drinks in combination with caffeine, and some of those have been shown to enhance aerobic or endurance performance. However, there are a number of adverse effects associated with energy drink consumption. Most of those are due to the presence of high levels of caffeine. So going back to our adverse effects of caffeine, increased anxiety, restlessness. Some people may experience insomnia. More severe would be heart arrhythmias. And particularly we see with adolescents and young adults mixing energy drinks with alcohol, which can result in adverse effects in and of themselves. So looking at the mechanism of action of caffeine, it is a central nervous system stimulant. It does have actions within the heart and skeletal muscle themselves. So it actually increases heart rate, increases contractility of the heart, making the heart work harder. It does have some actions within the skeletal muscle by enhancing cross-bridge cycling that may enhance force and power production. And also in other tissues of the body, it's been shown to break down and mobilize glucose and fat. And now that glucose and fat that's been mobilized can be utilized as a fuel source by the active skeletal muscles. So this is a very recent contemporary issues paper that you guys have access to via Canvas talking about energy drinks. And as you can see here, I kind of underlined, these are very common supplements that are taken by individuals. So here it talks about up to 80% of college athletes report using them to potentially enhance their performance. So there's a huge market here for energy drinks. In terms of overall market or overall sales in 2013, $39 billion. And that number is expected to increase dramatically over the next 5 or 6 years, up to about $61 billion by 2021. Now this paper here, this was an ACSM position statement. They looked at the evidence regarding the performance enhancing effects of energy drinks. So they state that the acute impacts of caffeine alone on exercise performance are ergogenic, so they do enhance performance. That performance enhancement is rather marginal, rather small, and is estimated to be about 2 to 4%, and that is dependent on the type, intensity, and duration of the exercise performed. It goes on to state that energy drinks may also show benefit, but the evidence is often highly variable. And this is primarily due to the poor study design, inconsistent dosing, as well as industry sponsorship of the study. So overall, you can see a lower evidence category here regarding the performance enhancing effects of energy drinks versus those of caffeine. What I wanted to point out, though, were some of the recommendations here provided by the ACSM regarding the safety and efficacy of energy drink consumption. They state here that energy drinks should be avoided before, during, or after strenuous activities until such time that proper safety and efficacy data are available. They go on to state that some of the deaths allegedly due to energy drinks have occurred when a person consumed energy drinks before and or after performing strenuous activities. They promote that education about energy drinks and their potential adverse events should be encouraged, especially in schools and universities where we see that there's a higher proportion of individuals consuming energy drinks. And also they recommend that healthcare providers, athletic trainers, sports medicine physicians, personal trainers, they should all educate their patients or clients about energy drink use and potential adverse events. So overall, we see that because this is a relatively new dietary supplement, there's still a lot we don't know about it in terms of improving athletic performance, but more importantly, the adverse effects. All right, so let's turn our attention now to hormones and drugs that mimic their effects. Now, there are a variety of endogenously produced hormones that are used to enhance athletic performance. The most commonly used hormone is testosterone, along with its synthetic derivatives. So, one of those synthetic derivatives, a class of those, is known as anabolic androgenic steroids. So these are simply synthetic derivatives of the male sex hormone testosterone. Many studies, most of those studies published several decades ago, show that elevations in testosterone concentrations as a result of taking steroids stimulated muscle protein synthesis, with the result being improvements in muscle size, body mass, and muscular strength. And as we talked about previously in this class, we would expect that increases in muscle size, body mass, and muscular strength would translate into improved athletic performance. These are also called androgenic steroids because they promote the development and maturation of the male secondary sex characteristics. So if we look at here the table from the NSCA textbook, we see a variety of generic and trade names of anabolic steroids that have been reported to be used by athletes. Some of those we may have heard of in the past would be Dianabol, Winstrol, for example. Later on I'll show you some data regarding Decadurabolin. So we look at some of the physiological changes associated with Decadurabolin use, one of those anabolic steroids. What we look at here, this is a study published back in 1992 looking at changes in lean body mass with anabolic steroid use and also following cessation of that drug. So what we see here is pretty substantial increases in fat-free mass due to increases in muscle protein synthesis with steroid use. And we even see that 6 weeks after cessation of the steroid, there's still higher levels of increases in fat-free mass relative to placebo. So we see consistently in the literature that changes in fat-free mass occur in both recreationally trained as well as competitive athletes who are taking steroids. And just kind of looking at this summary figure here, looking at a variety of physiological variables and the effects that steroids have on those variables. Looking at the red bars, which represent steroids, we see here in terms of percent change, in terms of total mass, fat-free mass, the girth or size of the arm and thigh and calf, leg strength and arm strength, we see some pretty substantial increases in measures of these physiological variables in response to steroid use. So many of us are aware of the adverse side effects of anabolic steroids. So you see here in this table various affected systems, including the cardiovascular system, the endocrine system. There's dermatological effects. There may be some influence on hepatic or liver function. And also we're familiar, we've heard of this before, this roid rage. So there's a number of adverse psychological effects associated with anabolic steroid use. That may include changes in aggression, arousal, and or irritability. So of all these adverse effects that you see over here, fortunately, many of the side effects that are shown in the table that are linked to steroid abuse are reversible upon cessation. So I want to differentiate here side effects associated with anabolic steroid use under medical supervision and those utilized by athletes who may be looking to enhance their performance. There are some major differences here. These side effects are going to differ greatly depending on if the anabolic steroids are prescribed by a medical doctor and under control versus certain athletes who may be utilizing anabolic steroids to enhance their performance, and likely they're consuming many drugs at higher doses in order to hopefully augment their performance. And we typically see by consuming many drugs at high doses that really magnifies or amplifies the side effects that occur.